first things first, take me back to the early 90s. What was Coach Walz like as a coach? What kind of person, what kind of guy was he?
Oh man, I mean, he's kind of he's a guy's guy. He was energetic, super knowledgeable. He wants to be hands on. He wants to be whatever he's doing. He's got 10 toes down. I think that's the thing that stands out from him, even at an early age. He's the same guy. He was the same guy then as he is now, for the most part. Obviously, he's evolved and he's taken on different roles, but I'm seeing a lot of the same characteristics that we saw back in the mid '90s.
What kind of guy was he? And as you know, being a football coach, I mean, you've got some guys who are, who are tough, who are, hard coaches, hard on players,
Yeah.
or you've got players who, more coddle the athletes and stuff. What kind of coach was Tim?
I think he was a good blend of both. I think the thing that stands out both about Coach Walz and that whole coaching staff, Coach Sutton, Coach Boone, Coach Miller, and all those guys is they were tough. They were demanding. They got the best out of you. They also, at that point in time, we were all a little bit younger. They were the type of guys that would jump into the weight room. They'd jump in on a bench press and show that they could still do it in the middle of the set. They led by example, and they kind of got that camaraderie going. And they built that good, healthy competitiveness, within our team structure. And it was an awesome environment. It was an awesome experience.
What kind of leader was Coach? Anything you'd say about his leadership? Obviously now, hoping to become one of the leaders of the country, and really a guy who's just one step away from actually being the president of the United States.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he was always very knowledgeable. He was prepared. He always knew exactly what he was going to talk about. Meetings were very organized. During practice, he was competitive. He was loud, in a good way. He was always cheering you on. But at the same point, like he was demanding results. They always kept the game plan. He always kept the game plan really simple. We were fortunate to have a lot of talent. And so really it was one of those things where he just kind of guided us in the right direction and allowed us to be players, and play. But I think the thing that stands out is like just trying to get the most out of you, trying to realize that there's a bigger picture out there and there's a higher goal, and just kind of pushing you to achieve your full capacity. That's really what stands out.
What kind of defense did you all run, Coach? Was it like overly aggressive, a lot of blitzing? What kind of defense did he run?
It wasn't overly aggressive. It was Southern Minnesota. It was downhill football. So it was a 4-4 cover three. It was about as simple. It's like day one, putting it on the whiteboard. We had a lot of talent. We didn't see a lot of variation of scheme.
Right.
You saw a lot of people, leaning into each other, a lot of people coming downhill. So, you had to be ready for the physicality. And that's kind of where the mentality came in. It tried to toughen you up in the right ways, just to prepare you for what you were going to see, on Friday nights, at the high school level. It was awesome.
Did you have any idea way back then? And I as a high school kid, I definitely wouldn't have looked at this, probably not even paid attention to it. But did you have any idea that your coach may one day actually be possibly the vice president?
No, I mean, I think that's the funniest thing about all this is we were so short-sighted back then. Like we were doing something that had never been done. We didn't have, a strong tradition of football at our school. So like we kind of thought that it was like, we kind of thought we were a unicorn team. We never thought it would really happen again. All those cliches, we had no idea what we were doing at the time. And more importantly, I don't think we had any idea where, a lot of us were going, after that special season. I think we were kind of surprised by the state championship a little bit, just because it was something that hadn't been done. I think we were surprised the first time he was elected to office, but I think after that, it started to get, we kind of started to realize you should expect the unexpected with Mr. and Mrs. Walz for sure.
What are all the guys saying? I don't know if you have any contact with some of your former teammates, some of your buddies from the team. What's everyone saying, today and yesterday since we found out?
I think we're all in a little shock. I mean, I think we're all just kind of shaking our head and giggling like something that happened 25 years ago. I mean, there's a awesome tradition, just not only in football, but, in a lot of things down in Mankato and at Mankato West now. So, I think we're giggling because I think, if we're being honest, I think that first state championship team might be, one of the teams that had the hardest trials and tribulations, winning state. So it's something where, they've done a really good job with that program. The tradition is there, and it's neat to be at the front end of it. And to think you contributed to, to that tradition.
I'd never asked somebody who they were voting for, but I'll only ask, and don't answer if you don't want to, but you obviously are very fond of Tim Walz. Does he get your vote November 5th?
It'll be hard not to get my vote, I guess. We'll put it that way. You're going to have to convince me to go a different direction. Well, I guess we'll put it that way.